Someone finds a small pile of what looks like sawdust on a windowsill. Not much. Just a little pile, like someone did a bit of woodworking nearby and forgot to sweep up. Except nobody in the house has touched a saw in months. Look closer, and that sawdust isn't just wood. Mixed into it are tiny fragments, pieces of insects, discarded and pushed out from somewhere inside the wall. Something has been excavating in there, and whatever it is, it didn't put that moisture in the wood. It found it already there. This is a carpenter ant, and the first thing worth knowing about it is what it doesn't do. It doesn't eat wood. It excavates it, carving out smooth tunnels and chambers purely to create space to live, more like construction than consumption. But here's the detail that changes how you should think about this entire problem. Research on carpenter ant behavior shows they almost never start a new nest in genuinely dry wood. They're drawn to wood with a moisture content above roughly 15%. And given the choice, they'll pick wood sitting between 20 and 30%. Normal, healthy structural lumber sits around 8 to 12%. In other words, a carpenter ant colony doesn't create a moisture problem. It moves into one that's already there, a slow roof leak, a plumbing drip inside a wall, condensation that's been building for months behind a shower surround. The ants aren't the case. They're the notification that a case already exists. There's a colony structure here worth understanding too. The actual queen and the core colony almost always live outdoors, in a rotting stump, a dead tree, a buried log. What moves indoors are satellite colonies, worker ants and maturing larvae, sent out to expand the colony's reach into spots that don't need to be quite as damp. Carpenter ants show up across the country, but they're especially established in the Pacific Northwest, the Northeast, and the Midwest, regions that combine plenty of rainfall with plenty of wood-framed housing. It's less about heat, the way it was in an earlier episode, and more about sustained dampness. And because satellite colonies can be sent out from a single parent nest, one colony outside can end up feeding activity in several completely different parts of a house at once. Research on colony behavior has documented as many as 20 satellite sites branching from one parent nest. That's why homeowners sometimes report ants showing up in the kitchen, the attic, and near a bathroom, all in the same season. It can look like 3 separate problems when it's really one colony reaching in 3 directions. They're also mostly active at night, foraging roughly 15 minutes after sunset. Pest researchers actually recommend checking for trails after dark, using a red flashlight specifically, since it doesn't disturb them the way white light does. If you want to trace where they're coming from, that's when they're moving. There's also a timeline worth knowing. A colony typically takes 3 to 6 years to fully mature, and visible structural damage usually takes that long to develop too. Which means, unlike some faster-moving problems, there's often a real window to catch this early. The one exception is winter. Outdoor colonies go dormant in the cold, but a satellite colony already established somewhere warm and damp inside, say behind a leaking dishwasher, can stay fully active all year, regardless of the season outside. The entry points tend to cluster wherever wood meets water, around window and door frames, under sinks, behind a shower wall, where a deck or porch attaches to the house. None of these are random. Every one of them is a place moisture already had a reason to collect. Treating a carpenter ant colony directly is usually one of the more affordable pest problems a homeowner deals with. Typically somewhere in the low hundreds of dollars for inspection and treatment. On its own, that sounds almost reassuring. But that number only covers the ants. It says nothing about whatever let the wood get wet in the first place. And that's usually the part that actually costs money. A slow roof leak repaired late. A section of siding replaced because it's been absorbing rain for years. A bathroom wall opened up because a shower pan has been leaking behind the tile the entire time anyone's lived there. Some of the risk factors are sitting in plain sight outside the house and rarely get a second look. Mulch piled directly against the foundation, stacked firewood touching the exterior wall, a tree stump left to rot a few feet from a window. Every one of these holds moisture right where wood and soil meet, which is exactly the bridge carpenter ants are built to use. Indoors, the highest risk rooms are almost always kitchens, bathrooms, and basements. Anywhere plumbing, condensation, or humidity is a daily fact of life. Outdoors, something as ordinary as the ground sloping toward the house instead of away from it can quietly keep the base of a wall damp for years without anyone noticing. And one identification detail that actually helps. Carpenter ant frass never contains soil or dirt. If what you're looking at has dirt mixed into it, the more likely explanation is a different pest entirely. And predictably, standard homeowners insurance treats this the way it treats most slow-developing problems, as maintenance, not damage. The moisture that invited the ants in isn't a covered event. Neither is the wood they excavated once they arrived. There's one more detail that trips people up. Treating only the ants you can see, spraying a visible trail, sealing one entry point, often isn't enough. If the parent colony outside keeps sending satellite colonies in, and the moisture source that attracted them in the first place is never fixed, the problem simply comes back through a different wall next season. The signs worth watching for: small piles of shredded sawdust-like material near baseboards, window frames, or under sinks. A faint rustling sound inside a wall, especially at night. Large black ants, noticeably bigger than the ones you'd see on a kitchen counter, showing up repeatedly in the same part of the house. None of these confirm anything by themselves. Together, especially if they keep showing up in the same spot, they're worth a real look. And specifically, a look for moisture, not just ants. That small pile of sawdust from the beginning of this episode was never really the problem. It was a note, left behind by something that only moves in where water already got there first. Every house really is its own case. This one just happened to start with something that looked like nothing at all.